I decided to select Shavon Podell, my coworker. He's also a University of Illinois student and a 22-year-old male. During Shavon's interview, we identified many social determinants that have affected who he is today. A couple of those main ones that he touched on and discussed with me were he grew up without a father. It was just him and his mother and his brother in the household. He also discussed just how he grew up being passively judged and stereotyped by the color of his skin and race. He spoke about this specifically in the education system throughout high school and as far as he can remember in the education system. And then also we discussed how he had to have a job and work in his teenage years just to help support his family and make sure that they're financially okay. And his family, due to this, just really emphasized like a high education and work ethic growing up and continuing that throughout your whole life. I decided to ask Shavon to participate in the Voices project because I thought, based on what I knew of him before this project, that he would make a great candidate for this interview. I knew Shavon as an acquaintance before this interview. I knew just from small discussions at work, just a brief summary of his childhood growing up and what he had to overcome and the obstacles he had to get through to get where he is today. A major part in consideration of this project is how personal these questions were and also that the video was posted online. I really wanted to make sure, just out of the respect to my interviewee, that he or she would be comfortable sharing their personal experiences and stories to the public and to I needed to know my interviewees well enough just to first ask them to participate in this project, and second, not to be offended or quote studied, for them to feel studied in this project. I also just really wanted to make sure he wouldn't mind answering the questions and sharing his stories in a video. And because of that, I felt close enough to Shavon to ask him if he'd like to participate in this project and also just answer my questions and be personal on video. So Shavon's story was really inspirational, and I felt like the questions really gave a good picture of who he is. Just to touch on socially structured factors or aspects of social organizations that shape and influences an individual behavior, opportunities, and outcomes. So in Shavon's case, the main socially structured factors that led to who he is today and that we identified is first, just his family. So in the beginning of the interview, Shavon explained that throughout his whole childhood and teenage years, he grew up in a single parent and an absent father home. This had a huge impact on his life, including financial instability due to just lower incomes and struggles to make ends meet with one parent providing income, parental stress due to higher levels of stress from managing the household on their own. Family dynamic, Shavon had to take on more responsibilities at home and less because of the less parental support and guidance he had. Academic performance, due to the lack of support and resources at home, it just increased the stress and instability and the pressure of his academic performance. And then emotional well-being, due to the lack of emotional support from an absent parent or stress and instability in the household. That was the main one we identified, but a couple others. So his race and ethnicity, obviously. This impact on Shavon's life was identified throughout the interview, throughout it, but the story that stuck out to me was when Shavon was telling a story about how his Indian brother went to golf at a country club with two of his white male friends, and when his brother went to pay, he was charged more than his two white friends. This is really mind-boggling and kind of sickening how this could still be happening today. But Shavon just explained it, that this was just one of the many negative situations that reminds him he is just not looked at or viewed equal to some people that he interacts with in his daily life and growing up. And then finally, education was another big one. Shavon explained that in school, due to his skin color and just race, he was stereotyped of being super smart and just knowing everything. And he felt like throughout his classes, he even said his teachers would put him in this category. Due to this, he was always putting tremendous amounts of pressure on himself to perform and get good grades. Those are the main social structured factors in Shavon's life, and I really enjoyed just getting to know Shavon more than just a coworker. And all these structures and had a profound impact on Shavon's life and how he interacts with others and just in a society as a whole. It was really good to get to know Shavon, and I enjoyed this project.